Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for the first stream in God knows how long. You know, the Euros were just so busy. 3 bloody games a day. I was like, when on earth am I going to fit a bloody live stream in? But now that the Euros have calmed themselves down a little bit, we can fit streams in again, which I'm very excited about. I hope you guys are very excited about it. And also, I will say, and I'll bring Ian and Con in just a second on this. You know, without streaming, it felt like I just cut off all my overseas friendship people. Because I'm not talking to them anymore now because I'm not streaming with them. This is infuriating. I have no idea what any of these people think about Hakimi or the Euros or nothing. It's crazy. So I'm excited to be back here. I'm excited to, be chatting to these two boys. Of course, there will be more streams. Not quite tomorrow because tomorrow there's 2 kickoff times again. So on Thursday. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, if you're watching, if you're new here, please be sure to subscribe. That'd be massively appreciated. We're on the road to 15,000 subscribers. And of course, check out Craigo, Ian's channel down in the description below. He's about 500 away from the big 20K at the moment. So go subscribe to him. And of course, check out Con on Twitter and help him get ever closer to his, the big 100K, which would be outrageous if you could hit that. So, make it bloody happen, bro. Make it bloody happen. To bring you guys in, Con, because you turned up first. Because Ian thought it was more important to spend time with stuff. Outrageous of him, isn't it? How you doing, Con? How you been? How have you found the Euros? How's life?
No, I'm doing good, bro. The Euros has been really good. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the games. I haven't enjoyed England though. Gareth Southgate, he's got blood in his hands, man. He gives me Europa League vibes. He gives me Conte second season vibes. It's like that's the football I'm watching, But despite all that, that game against Scotland, seeing Billy perform the way he did, that tickled my heart nicely. So, yeah, I'm doing good, bro.
Brilliant. Love to hear that from you. And Ian, obviously I was on your channel, 2 weeks ago now or something? 10 days?
Yeah.
Whatever it was. Right. Obviously chatting a couple of days before the Euros or as Austria played England in that friendly. We were chatting about the Euros and we were having a lovely chat and we were both excited for the Euros. Euros are now... Well, games-wise, more than halfway through, but time-wise, about halfway through. It's been good, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's actually been a very enjoyable tournament. There's a couple of games that are a bit dead, it always is the way. But there's been a lot of games that you look at and thought that's not going to be massively entertaining. All of a sudden, it's pulling out a fair few goals or a fair few incidents. It's been good. I've enjoyed it. I can't lie.
No, exactly. And hey, the Euros are big and they've, certainly claimed most of my attention because, there's only so many hours in a day. And if 6 of those are spent watching football, and then you watch a bit of pre-game stuff and a bit of post-game stuff. And then you're sat there 8 hours a day watching just football stuff. But Chelsea are also doing their thing. Nothing official just yet. But obviously the whole Haaland stuff is kicking off. The Hakimi stuff is kicking off. And now it's kind of started to interline the Euros and Chelsea with Mason Mount and Ben Chilwell. I know I've slightly betted you in the title, Euros over, but I'll explain why I said that. Because in theory, the Euros could literally be over for them right now, which is very depressing for them. Chilwell, let's be honest, probably wouldn't have played anyway if he wasn't even in the squad first day. And was he even on the bench in the second game?
He was. Okay.
Well, still, probably wouldn't have played. But Mount probably would have played every game, right? So the fact that, what's going on right now, we'll talk about it in a second, of course, is happening. Unfortunate for them. Can you obviously see a positive as a Chelsea fan thinking, saves them a bit of extra games, give them a bit more of a rest? Fair enough. But yeah, there's a lot to get through. There is a lot to get through. And as we're on the topic, and of course, England play the Czech Republic tonight. You know what? Before we get into the Mount and Billy Gilmour and Ben Chilwell stuff, how are you feeling ahead of the game tonight, Con? Obviously, you were just saying, Gareth Southgate is, his biggest fan, shall we say? I'm not sure if anyone is, aside from people in the media that have close affiliations to England. But anyway, how are you feeling ahead of the game tonight? Because obviously, level on points right now. Schick, Mr. Willany himself, top goal scorer of the Euros, joint at least, with arguably the goal of the tournament so far. How are you feeling ahead of that game? Confident? Would you prefer a second anyway?
I think we're through, ain't we? Anyway, so tonight, it's not really massive. But I don't know. I'm not really that confident, mate, to be honest. Czech have been good. Can't lie. They've been decent. We haven't been so good. We've been kind of poor, to be honest. No Mason Mount either. he's been looking like our most lively attacker as well. So a big issue for me not having him. But maybe we'll see a Grealish, you know. Finally, we'll see a Grealish start, you know, or a Sancho start, because we've been starved of that for some reason. I don't know. But yeah, it's Laurenz. It's so hard, my guy, because we have such a good squad. This England squad is ridiculously talented, and then we've got the B-Tech Ollie in charge. You know, a guy who's afraid to lose. He won't risk losing a game to win it. And I think every England fan, as much as we say it's coming home, it's sort of our culture thing. You know, we're a bit loud, we're a bit arrogant in that sense. We like to have a laugh, a bit of banter, but I don't think any of us truly see us winning this, to be honest.
Well, you could just move to Italy and then say it's coming home, you know.
Yeah.
Solves that problem for you. And if you want to just sing that song, off you go. But, I mean, I can't really, like, going back to the Croatia game, first 15, 20 minutes, England were outrageously good. And unlucky, obviously, not to score from that Foden shot. And, like, they were really good. But that tailed off very quickly, and then there was a load of nothingness in the second half, except the goal. And then the whole Scotland game was a whole of nothingness, except Harry Kane being dreadful, really. And Raheem Sterling not having a touch of a few wonderful Mason Mount passes. And that was kind of it. Both, like, I love Reece James, but he was dreadful against Scotland. Kyle Walker was dreadful against Croatia. Both didn't know how to complete a pass. Obviously, you know, what I mean by that is they had like 4 or 5 stupidly misplaced passes, which just shouldn't happen to a player of this ability. Anyway, playing Kieran Trippier at left back, it was all very confusing in my opinion. But, I mean, Scotland easily could have gotten something from that Czech Republic game. And Czech Republic scored should have done, yeah. And Czech Republic obviously scored an absolute screamer. So I reckon England should still be favourites. Maguire is back now as well, making your clean sheet probably a tad more likely. But what I want to ask from you guys before we get into the Mount stuff, just a random question. And I'll go with you first, Ian. Do you think, and you can then tell me how confident you feel ahead of tonight as well, do you think that Schick goal is as good as people make it out to be?
Yes.
Let me tell you why I disagree. Because a goal is 7 meters wide. All you're saying is every goal kick from a goalkeeper, which goes about half the length of the field and goes within a 7 meter radius of where he tried to put it, is exactly as good as that finish. Why are we not praising goalkeepers every day then?
Oh, I mean, it depends on what you want to do. That's the thing. I still don't think goalkeepers are good enough playing the ball long, seeing as they all want to play the ball short now. That's a whole different question. But the goal is that good. You know, it's going to be goal of the tournament. I don't care what anyone says. It's going to be goal of the tournament.
Oh, it will for 100%. It wouldn't be mine, but it will.
Yeah, it might not be the best goal, you know, the most beautiful goal to watch, but is it the most exciting goal? Yeah, I mean, he scored from the halfway line. The ball's running away from him. The keeper's made a mistake, fine, but it's the know-how to be able to, it's the confidence to try it from there. Because how many people would have just continued running and been one-on-one with the goalkeeper and gone, yeah, I'll take that, thanks very much. It's just the balls that goes with it. And someone to literally just put there in the chat, the curve on it, you know, it does take skill. It's not just, you know, it's not just a case of you've got to pick that guy out there from 7 meters, you know, within the 7 meters. You've got to beat him. You've got to do something that's going to take him out of the game. And the way that the keeper, was it Marshall that was in goal? I think the way that the keeper was just completely dumbfounded was just brilliant. It's a great goal, and it's running away from him as well. It's not as if it's a dead ball specialist thing. It's a great goal. I don't know if it will be goal of the tournament for a lot of people, but it will be goal of the tournament in the actual official way that it works. It will be.
Yeah. No, 100%. And, you know, maybe I misworded myself. I'm not saying it's not a good goal. I'm just saying I don't think it's quite as good as people are making it out to be, if that makes sense. And yeah, the curler, sure. But again, every goal kick by a goalkeeper curls in because that's just how people hit the ball. When you have some sort of shooting technique, the ball's going to curl because you're not going to knuckleball a shot over 60 yards. It's not going to happen. So, you know, that's that. For my so far, at least, personal probably goal of the tournament is probably Yarmolenko's against Netherlands, because that was just some strike.
Fantastic.
So that was quite good. But Ian, how are you feeling ahead of tonight anyway? You confident? Do you want to come first anyway?
Win the group. Bulk standard, win the group. Before, I can understand what the logic was. If you want to avoid certain teams, I get why people are saying, "Oh, you might actually want to finish second." If you finish second or third, you end up on the harder side of the draw. Don't want to be in that situation. Although we're looking at it going, well, if we win the group, we play Portugal or Germany in the round of 16. Likely, could even be France.
Yeah.
Fine, but I mean, I don't know if have you seen the tournament tree and the way that it pans out.
I have.
I mean, at some point, obviously you won't have to get through them all, but at some point, if you're on the other half of the draw, if you go right the way through to the final, you're going to have played, I think it was an easy game against, I can't remember who it is now. I want to say it's Sweden that we would play, whoever it is anyway. Then you would come up against France, and then you'd likely have Belgium, then you'd likely have Italy, and then I think it's the final. I mean, you've got to go through these teams. And don't get me wrong, if you want to win the whole thing, you've got to be right there from the word go, being able to do it. But you look at the other side of the draw, which if we win the group, yeah, we might go out in the round of 16 to Germany. But if you beat them, the run after that is so much more simplistic. You could have to play a poor Spain side. You'd then have to play the winner of, I think it's likely to be Denmark, Wales, and the Netherlands. Winner of one of those three. And then you're in a final. I'd take that all day long, rather than having to actively go towards Belgium, Italy, France, Germany. I think we could likely be. Portugal will be on that side of the draw as well. So I get why people are saying it, and England have done it before. Women's World Cup 2015 deliberately come second in the group to get an easier draw. 2018 World Cup deliberately through the last game of the group to come second and get the easier draw. But at some point, you know, we've got to go into it thinking we're going to top the group. If we top the group, we're going to get an easier draw. And also as well, let's not lie to ourselves. It's highly unlikely it happens, but there is still a freak chance that Portugal get knocked out. That Hungary go through at the expense of Germany, which is highly unlikely. It's highly unlikely. But if you if you ended up playing Hungary after two big performances they put in against France,
if Hungary beat Germany, would you want to beat Hungary play Hungary anymore?
Yeah, I would. They can't. At some point, it's got to come to an end. It's got to come to an end. So I would take.
That's what you said for Iceland 5 years ago.
I never did. We were.
No. I mean, as in the English.
Yeah, I weirdly actually served an Icelandic guy 2 weeks after that game. A week after that game. He came into my shop en route to go to France to watch his game, Iceland against France. And he went, "Oh yeah, I bet on an English betting site that Iceland was going to win," and they did. And he absolutely loved it. He spent the whole earnings on it, taking his whole family over to France to watch the Iceland game. I looked at
him.
Yeah, it's just a complete joke, but fair play to the lad for putting money on it. But I think at some point we have to. At some point, you have to go and beat a big boy, and if you can do it at the earliest stage, which gives you an easier run afterwards, I'm all up for that. I don't want any of this finish second in a group lark. I'm a little bit nervous going forward into tonight. I mean, we have obviously qualified and it's great, but I want to win the group. I want to see a statement of intent, which I've said for Chelsea for years. Just look at someone and go, oh shit, they're going to be dangerous. The way that people have looked at France and gone, oh, okay, they're going to be dangerous. They've only scored 2 goals at this tournament, but yet everyone worries about France because they know they can score goals for fun. In the last 5 or 6 games England have played, I think we've scored 5 goals. France can score that in 90 minutes, if not less. Yeah, there's no fear factor around England at the moment. At some point, you've got to go out and state your name. That's what you've got to do, and that's what we need to do at the earliest possible opportunity. So I want it to be tonight, but if not, we'll do it against Germany.
No, that is very fair. Before we get into the Mason Mount Ben Chilwell stuff, because it is very interesting and it definitely has to be talked about, let me quickly play this. Download the OneFootball app with the link down below, and just listen to what I have to tell you in a clip. I want to say a massive thank you to OneFootball for partnering up with me and sponsoring my channel. Like the name suggests, it's a football app, and trust me, it's one of the best ones out there. You get all the latest football news from pretty much every single team and league all around the world. Team news, live score updates, league tables, fixture lists, everything you could possibly want to know in the world of football, you find it right there. Never want to miss out on any news surrounding Chelsea again? OneFootball has got you covered. As you can see on screen now, all the news is all there in one place. Whether it's the latest injury news, articles before and after games, or of course, transfer rumors. And with the transfer window actually opening and coming up soon, as well, you'll definitely want to make use of that transfer indicator, which not only tells you about all the rumors out there, it also tells you how likely a certain transfer actually is to happen. Like I said, it's honestly a brilliant app that I can only recommend downloading with the link down in the description below. And downloading the app with my link also really helps out my channel. All it takes is literally a few seconds to click that link down in the description below. Doesn't matter whether you're on iPhone or Android. I download the app right there with that link. So again, go down below into the description and download the OneFootball app with my link right now. And before we get to the transfer news, the biggest outside of transfer news of today is that this moment has apparently caused Mason Mount and Ben Chilwell to be close contact of Billy Gilmour, who has tested positive for the C word. I'm still not sure whether we're meant to say it on YouTube or not. And now they have to self-isolate for a weird 7 days, which I find odd. Usually it's 10. Why is it now 7? I don't understand. While the rest of the whole Scotland team are absolutely fine. But they can all play, even though they share the coach and plane and, well, hotel dining rooms and, well, a dressing room and a pitch. And they were all hugging each other. But yeah, apparently that's the scenario. Billy seems to be fine, not showing symptoms, thankfully. So that's a positive. But well, I would say shed some light on it. It's quite easy to explain, really. Scotland and England have different rules for what happens in what kind of circumstances. Hence why there's different repercussions for the guys currently staying in England, while the Scottish have obviously gone home. But to the question why there isn't a separate from the country but sports rule, so that it all affects, because these players should all stay in their bubbles during the tournament anyway. So I don't really understand why they are affected by the rest of the country's rules. And they're separate from the rest of the country. So I find it very odd. And it's very unfortunate because what Ian spoke about a minute ago, if England win tonight and they top that group, their round of 16 opponent is almost certainly, let's say, because like you said, it could be Hungary, one of France, Germany, or Portugal. You could say Portugal were battered by Germany, fine. But for Portugal to come second, they'd need to win against France today anyway. Or draw, whatever it is. Yeah, so, and if England, so just to clarify that, Mount and Chilwell will have to self-isolate until including the 28th of June. On the 29th is when England's round of 16 game takes place if they top the group. Will they take part in that game if they couldn't train with the rest of the squad for a full week? I'm not sure how much individual training they will have to do. So will be able to do in this self-isolation period. So how much fitness will they lose as well? It happens quickly at that level. So they might not be involved in that first game back. And then if they get knocked out, the Euros are over for them. And, it's just harsh, especially, I know Mount hasn't scored and he probably should have done, or definitely should have done against Scotland from that crossing from the left. But in my opinion, he was by far England's best player against Scotland. Like, it wasn't even close. You could maybe argue Pickford because he actually made 2 very good saves. But in terms of outfield players, I think Mount was brilliant. And very few other players were, especially the also hyped Mr. Phil Foden. Con, first of all, what do you think about this whole thing that obviously Billy caught this now and Mason and Chile need to now self-isolate, but the Scotland team are fine? Like, that's weird, isn't it?
It's a mess, mate. It's an absolute mess. It's a joke. When I saw it come out, because the England team were training that day, like Mount and Chile were in that training with the England squad. So how the rest of the England players don't have to self-isolate or anything doesn't make sense to me. How the Scottish players don't have to. Did you see the manager as well? He grabbed Gilmour by the face and was like nearly kissing him. Like, Mount and Chilwell just gave him a hug, Surely they do that in the changing rooms. It doesn't make any sense. Where's the logic? That's all I ask is, where's the logic? Like, I could talk about this for 10 minutes saying the same old stuff, but to be honest, mate, it's just a mess. It's just a big old mess and it doesn't make sense. And I feel for Mason and Chilwell. Champions League winners, had a phenomenal season, and potentially Chilwell won't get to play a game for the Euros. And Mount might have played his last, potentially. Let's hope that's not the case. But, yeah, you just got to feel bad for them, man. They deserve better. And like I said, where's the logic? Where is the logic?
It is weird. We have a super chat here by Ken Berry. Appreciate you a lot, Ken. And if any of you have anything to add and you want us to support the channel, do always use the super chat function. Always very much appreciated. But Ken is basically calling you out, Con. Can it be more confusing for my brain? Saying, Con, you're worrying about Villa and Norwich signings when all of our targets are world class or thereabouts. You know we move in silence. Explain yourself, G. So, Con, explain yourself, G.
Okay, so obviously when I saw the Hakimi things last night, right? I don't know, it threw me back to 17-18, right? Because first thing I thought was Carl.
I hear you.
First thing I thought of was Kyle Walker, Conte target.
Kyle Walker. I don't even remember that. But go on.
Yeah. So Kyle Walker was a Conte target, and we missed out on him, and he went to City. Hakimi going to PSG sort of gives me that vibe. And then I'm not one who's putting all my eggs in the basket with Haaland. Like, that's an incredibly hard deal to do. It is. If it can get done, it'll be amazing. Don't get me wrong, right, but we got to be somewhat realistic here. Like, what Dortmund want, even if they will sell him, they still don't want to sell him. If Sancho goes United, they're like adamant they don't want to sell Haaland. And now we're missing out on Hakimi, who's clearly a Tuchel target. I don't know. 64 million to me isn't that deep. I don't know why Chelsea didn't pay it. We paid 50 million for Ben, for Lampard. Like, why not pay an extra 14 million, So, I don't know. That it got me worried, because not for the fact that we missed out on Hakimi. It's just because I know this board.
Well, we haven't quite missed out on him yet, not officially anyway.
Yeah, but we haven't even put in a bid. So shout out to all the ITKs who said, "Oh, Chelsea have done that." Shut up! Like, just guys, if you're listening, don't listen to what anyone says on Twitter. If they're not a credible journo, don't listen to them, please.
I think this bid thing is very, because even Fabrizio Romano has not in exact words, we made an offer bid, but he's basically said we've made a bid. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's just journalists contradicting each other. I think that's just kind of what's going on at the moment. I mean, we'll get to the transfer saga in a minute, but obviously we had to touch on it. And
just to touch up on the Villa and Norwich part, I just saw Villa got Buendia. That's a fantastic signing. Really good player. Norwich got, I can't pronounce his name, so I'm not going to say it, but for 9 million, that's crazy. And I'm not
even know who Norwich signed.
It's the guy from Bremen. Really good winger. And
forgot his name too. But
it's not saying I want Chelsea to get these players, but these are incredible signings for these clubs, and they're moving like quick. So all I asked was, Chelsea, do you want to wake up a little bit? Because we're not really hearing anything. So I'm just saying, wake up a little bit. I don't think it's too much. Con's just a bit of a pessimist sometimes. Yes,
and, let him be a bit of a pessimist every now and again, because I mean, I can just tell Con, just think about how long Havertz took. Still got it done. So don't lose the faith. Don't lose the faith. But obviously, I hear that whether it's Kyle Walker or whether it's, I don't know, Lukaku back in 2017, or God knows who we wanted to sign. Whenever we win things, we don't sign anybody. And let's hope that finally changes, because that's a problem. I do quickly want to keep talking about the Euros for a little bit, just before we get onto the transfer stuff. Just, I don't know, enjoy the Euros. I want to talk about it and what you're going to do about it. Obviously, I'm not quite sure how many games you've seen, Con, but who's been who's now your favourite, one? And number two, is there a team that surprised you? Good or
Italy,
bad, I suppose?
yeah. Italy are the team who I think are favourites. They look like a club side, let's be honest. The chemistry they have. And they made so many changes the other night, and they still look good. And Ferretti, what a player, by the way. What a player. So, Italy are my favourites. A team that surprised me. I don't want to say Italy, because I had them in a big pedestal. I'd say Portugal surprised me. They look a lot worse than I thought they would. For all the hype
it's a fair point, to be fair.
I don't think they look good. I don't think they look good at all. I think it's a team of individuals, a PSG sort of vibe at times. I don't think they're winning it. I don't think they're going to be close to winning it, to be honest.
No, I agree. But at the same time, I thought that in 2016 too. And then out of nowhere, they draw 3 group games and in the end win the stupid thing.
Yeah.
So, that's a whole mess in itself. I mean, I think if you say anybody but Italy are on what we've seen favourites, I think you didn't watch their games probably. Obviously, you can still say, France will still sort themselves out. Maybe Germany sort themselves out. Maybe you just back England. Fair enough. But in terms of what we've seen, I think you have to class Italy as the favourite so far, even though Netherlands have actually scored more goals than Italy in the group stages. But, that's that. I I didn't actually know this. Did either of you know this? That apparently
Yes.
Mount, Chilwell and Gilmour. I didn't hear this. Fair enough. Then.
Yeah, it came out this afternoon, but it was never confirmed. It was reports are all going on, but it still doesn't make a difference. I get what the close contact is and whatever. And I think for me as well, with the big thing with this is I understand what the logic is behind it. I do get it. But if it's the same for these two, it's got to be the same for the Scotland team. It has to. The little interactions on the pitch, I get it. But it's got to be consistent across both teams. Otherwise, it's just your country versus our country, and our country's been a little bit more protective because of what they've seen on social media. It doesn't make sense at all. But hey, I don't know. I mean, I assume we all saw the Petr Cech thing, did we today? The post that he put out. Yeah.
No, I didn't. What was that?
Oh, did you not? Hang on, let's see if I put it on my Insta. Basically turned around and said, "I'll get the actual quote up."
Yeah.
So I was a bit lazy today. I had a lay-in.
I've got it. Yeah,
you're gone, Lazar.
All right. Well, Czech basically put on his Instagram just a white text on black background saying, "Please, could someone help me understand how is it possible Mason Mount and Ben Chilwell, both with negative tests, have to isolate after they got in contact with Billy Gilmour, while the entire Scottish team, who shared the dressing room, hotel, coach, and plane while travelling, dining room, meeting room, is allowed to play the game without any problem because they returned the required negative tests? What is the difference between them returning the same test results? It is incomprehensible." And yeah, like I said, I mean, there is an easy explanation. It's just different countries having different rules. But like I said, the UEFA should have just, before doing in the current global situation, before hosting a tournament spread all over the continent, they should have probably sorted out some sort of exception rules for these athletes that they have to abide by some sort of restrictions in terms of, isolating if something happens, but that everybody has to abide by the same rules and not by whichever country you currently sit in, because that's ridiculous.
Sorry, Lawrence, can I just make a point there? Like, I get if it was like England and France, right? But it's England and Scotland. Like, with the UK, I know in Scotland
you weren't even allowed to go to Scotland, when lockdown was hard. So,
like, I know in Scotland you have to be 16 to buy a Red Bull, but how much different, like, sort of policies have they got than us? Like, don't you think that's a bit absurd? I could understand if it was a team across the water, but Scotland, really?
Yeah, the whole thing. I mean, we could sit here all day and talk about politics, but if you've noticed throughout the entirety of the time lockdown's been a thing, there's been the Scottish Independence Party that have been saying, "Oh, we're doing this different to England," and then there's the Welsh Party saying, "Oh, we're doing this different to England." So I think the whole thing is that they're just trying to make a big political statement the whole time. But now the thing goes slightly against them, and that one of their players has to isolate. They're all turning a complete blind eye, and we've been left out here, kind of hung out to dry. We haven't got a foot to stand on. And of course, the fact that we've seen it all over social media, that's all it takes, and people just shit themselves. I mean, that's just the way that it is. But it's ridiculous. But I mean, we could be forever talking about the relationship between England and Scotland, and England and anyone, to be fair.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I don't want to get too much into politics. Like with just the comment here, would it be different had they been vaccinated? Like, of course, Southgate was trying to, ask for in February and was obviously shut down very quickly. So I don't know. First of all, it's the number one to that question of what Jester said. Number two, it doesn't matter because they haven't been anyway. But yeah, it's a whole mess. Not ideal for England. Possibly ideal for Chelsea, but that's a whole different story. Before I bring it to you, Craig, in terms of the Euros, for me, in terms of positively surprising, it's tough to call because maybe Belgium, because I thought they were more past it than they have seemed in the first few games, but also obviously Denmark have only really turned up in the third game for obvious reasons, and then Finland and Russia are just both not very good. So how do we judge Belgium of that? But the real shockers for me were just Turkey. Like, I didn't think them as dark horses like some people did, but I didn't think they'd be this bad. And they were absolutely atrocious in all three games. Let's not kid ourselves. Atrocious. And this is where the stigma of the Ligue 1, the French league, being a farmers league comes from. Because, I mean, Burak Yilmaz and Yasiki, or whatever his name is, they both play for the French champions. They've had incredible seasons. They go to the Euros, 3 games, nothing. Absolutely, the guy couldn't control a ball. He's worse than Timo Werner with his touch. It's insane. I've never seen anything like it.
Well, we can't really talk. We've got Harry Kane.
Oh God.
Well, yeah, that's true. Harry Kane is a whole separate issue anyway. But yeah, for me, it's probably of surprise. It's probably Turkey, and positive surprise. Maybe Belgium. No, Belgium hasn't been good at all. No, they haven't been good, but they were still better than I thought they'd be. If that makes sense. But Ian, what about you? Positive surprises, negative surprises, favourites right now?
I mean, I was one of the people. I mean, I don't tweet a lot, but I do read Twitter. I do see what people are talking about. I was let down by Turkey. I mean, even I thought they'd be a little bit better. I didn't see them quite going all the way to the final, semi-final, as some people had them. But yeah, I was a little bit let down. I can't lie. So that would definitely be one. Positive surprise. I mean, I know it's maybe a nice, lovely answer to give, but I've been really surprised by Denmark, the way that they've dealt with everything and have come back fighting. In the first game, they weren't good, but I mean, we can all understand why. In the second game, they were, I thought, superb, and they just lacked a little bit of that quality. And the way that they went through last night, the emphatic way they went through was superb because, I mean, bottom of the group, didn't have a single point. They've won it they've gone through on goal difference. But I mean, what an achievement for them. That's probably the best thing I would say. Team, I agree with Con. I probably would say Italy, I think, are the team to win it. I've got 4 bets on the Euros for outrights. 3 of them involve Italy. 2 top goal scorers and them to win the whole thing.
Top goal scorer?
Yeah, I've got Insigne, who was 50-1. So I thought that was worth £1. And then I got Immobile as well. Yeah.
You're going to be ruined by Jorginho when he takes penalties instead of Immobile.
Oh, yeah. Did you see my sarcastic tweet that I said about Jorginho for Ballon d'Or?
No, I didn't. But hey, I back it. I
thought a few people would be rattled by that. But I would probably say Denmark would be my surprise of the tournament so far. Not because I didn't think they were any good, but just because I just didn't think they'd be able to. Yeah, Spain, they were crap.
Spain are with clearly my biggest disappointment. They are dreadful. And I don't care whether Koke tries to make jokes. Oh, we have a picture of Van der Vaart hanging on the wall when Iniesta scores the winner. That's irrelevant, mate. That's 11 years ago. Focus on now and stop being shit because you are shit. Absolutely
Can we really be let down by a guy who has Morata up top, though? For a team that has Morata up top? Can we really be that let down? Come on, surely we must know Morata's leading the line. They ain't scoring.
Well, no one forced Enrique to start Morata.
Who else they going to start, though?
Gerard Moreno.
Me.
Oh, Moreno. Yeah. But doesn't he play out wide?
Well, not for Villarreal, he doesn't.
You could play anyone up front. Anyone that pay Dave up front, you get more goals than Morata will.
You should probably play Dave right back because he'd get some assists from Morata, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's something. But yeah, no, this is a big one. And I do quickly want to touch on this Denmark thing because I haven't touched on it yet. And it's weird, like when you do videos, because I did obviously a few videos in the last couple of weeks, it's just you just get info out and you have less interaction. You don't have the time to talk about everything, if that makes sense. Obviously, the Denmark thing, I mean, I don't want to get into the political stuff of, should they have cut away sooner? Bro, you think about how you felt and then think about how difficult the job is for the guy that makes this decision. It's not easy for him in that situation right now either to know what the right thing is to do. He's scared about losing his job if he cuts away too quickly. He's scared about what if something good happens and then I cut away and then the people don't see the positive news? Because if we see something positive straight away, everybody's happy and no one complains. But he doesn't know this sitting on the side with his camera, or whoever the guy, producer, clicking whichever screen you want to be on or whatever, right? Anyways, obviously, what happened to Eriksen happened. Thankfully, he seems to be okay. Let's hope he can continue playing football, even with having a defibrillator inserted into his heart, body, whatever. As far as I'm aware, Daley Blind, I think, plays with a similar device for the last 2 years or something. So there should be hope that he could continue his career, which would be fantastic, obviously. And Denmark, I mean, would they have lost against Finland without this happening? Probably not. Would they have won? There's no guarantee either because they had 40 minutes and they did nothing until that happened either. So, you can certainly make that case. Does the Russia game, does the Belgium game go the way it did? I don't know. Probably lose that anyway. But against Russia yesterday, they were brilliant. Like, they were brilliant. Even that's the stupidest penalty, one of the stupidest penalties I've seen in a while. Even that didn't ruin them, didn't take them down. Then Andreas Christensen scoring like one of the best goals I've seen. Like just smacking. The guy is in 127 games, never scored for Chelsea, and then he goes to the Euros in a game that big for his country and smacks that one home. I'm like, go on, son, big up yourself.
I saw a tweet yesterday, Laurenz, saying we should let Christensen shoot from where Rudiger does. I was like, yeah, for real.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely back that.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it's true. It's weird. But I will also say, surprise for me personally, how we battered Ukraine. Yes, I know we didn't only won 1-0. We should have been about 4-0 up by half time. We were amazing. I've never seen Austria play this well in my life, I don't think. It was great. So I was very pleased. Great reward that we got is now playing Italy. Brilliant. While Wales obviously... It is, yeah. It is.
Yeah.
But Wales come second in their group, and who do they play? Denmark, who also come second. Well, we get to play Italy. How's that fair? F-off. Like, do you know what I mean? This is a very dodgy system since they have this, like, third places go through. You know, I heard a very interesting proposal where instead of saying, like, third places go through, do like or the best third places go through, do a thing of the best 8 or something go through to the quarters directly, and then all the others play each other in a round of 16. That'd be interesting, I think. But
you get like a buy-in kind of thing.
Yeah, almost like you skip one round and stuff. So first of all, it's more rewarded to come first, and you don't have a silly situation like England tonight where would it be better if we come second? You know, you get an extra week's rest. Everyone's going to bite your hand off for that and going to try their socks off to get that. And also, I think this whole structure is so unfair because by tomorrow, the teams that play tomorrow, they know full well what goal difference they need and how many points they need to go through as third. While Group A, where Switzerland was, and Switzerland came third in the end, they had no clue whether their 4 points and -1 goal difference would be enough. You were likely with 4 points, almost guaranteed, but you don't know. And you now have Finland on 3 points. They don't know. But whoever, like I said, playing tomorrow, what's the last game? The Hungary, Portugal, and Hungary, Germany, and Portugal, France games. They know full well what they need as third, and I think that's a bit dodgy. But hey, it's a difficult one to really do the best with. But enough of that. I reckon let's go into some transfer talk. And Con's mentioned it already, Hakimi. And like I said, because I've only really reported about this in videos, I haven't really spoken to many people about what they actually feel about it. So, Con, obviously, I've seen your tweets, so I know you're a big fan. But you can elaborate in a second. Ian, would you want Hakimi?
No.
And why?
I haven't seen a lot of him, I can't lie, but what I did see was when he was at Dortmund. When it was the lockdown period was just coming back, and Dortmund basically need to win every single game. They played against Schalke, I think it was, in the first game back, whacked them 4-0 in a derby, of course. Schalke are obviously poor as hell, but what goes with it and what I've got a problem with in terms of Hakimi is he needs space. Everything he needs involves space. Everything he does involves space. Whether it be he creates it himself, like the goal that I keep seeing advertised or keep seeing going round and round and round is the one on the counter-attack where he runs from one end of the pitch to the other with Lukaku and they interchange it and someone taps it in at the end. That's the one I keep seeing going round and round and round, which is fine. And it's a good skill to have a lot of pace on your side. But we've struggled to break teams down against low blocks. And that's even now when we're playing the 3 at the back and we're getting people forward, we're struggling to break teams down with low blocks. And in that Schalke game, that first one back, everything I saw of Hakimi is that his final ball is lucky. His final ball is he's aiming for one person, there's someone at the back post to tap it in. I don't want to spend 68 or 64 million quid on what is essentially luck, where you've got in comparison Reece James, who's going to put the ball on a sixpence for whoever the centre forward is. As much as I get we need a new right wing back, I also look at it and think, well, if you're committing to Mason Mount as a forward, if you're committing to Werner as a forward, Pulisic as a forward, Havertz as a forward, want to go and sign a new number 9, then the likelihood is Hudson-Odoi is not necessarily going to have a use for you unless he's going to play as a right wing back. So it almost kind of seems like the end of Hudson-Odoi if you go and sign Hakimi, which, I mean...
And that's not even mentioning Hakim Ziyech.
Yeah, exactly. We're thinking about all these different big players. And as much as I get why, I understand why the Hakimi links are, and I understand why Con would want him. I get it, completely do. It just seems like a massive commitment to a back three, which you are always going to have to stick by. And if it does go to a back four, if Tuchel doesn't work for whatever reason, or something changes, or you've got to change it up, I don't know if spending 64 million quid, whatever it is, I think, on him is necessarily the right thing to do. I'm not saying he's a bad footballer. I'm not saying he's terrible, but I just think that you need to be pinpoint accurate with our buying and also with his skill. And I don't think that either of them are a match made in heaven. I understand the links. I get it, but I don't think it's perfect. If it was for 40 million quid, sign him. Go for it. I don't care. But we need a centre forward because we could still be in the same position. We're going to create a hell of a lot of chances. We still need someone to put it in the back of the net. If it's not Haaland, which, I mean, it looks like it's an increasingly unlikely deal to get done. It doesn't look like it's going to be Lukaku. It doesn't look like it's going to be Kane. Still go and sign a centre forward. Even if it is a 30, 40 million pound centre forward, someone to aim for, someone that's going to give you a little bit more. But I think the main priority needs to be on getting that number 9, someone that you can aim for and someone that can integrate and someone that is just there to score goals. Nothing else, score goals. That's what I think we need, is a proper goal scorer, because that's what's going to elevate us from finishing 4th, luckily, to be honest, to then going and getting right at the top of the table where we should aspire to be.
I get what you're saying with that. I mean, I don't personally believe that whether we do or do not sign Hakimi has any impact on whether we do or don't sign, for example, Haaland. So I think
I think there's a transfer budget, and I think if you go too far into that Haaland budget, he ain't coming.
I think we need to believe certain journalists in a sense that Haaland is our number 1 priority,
and he should be.
Of course,
make him number 1 then.
But that the Haaland deal is not going to happen as quickly. While you know that Inter need money before the 30th of June. So just because we sign Hakimi first doesn't mean we're prioritizing him over Haaland. But a bigger deal just takes longer to get done. Do you know what I mean? If that makes sense. But obviously we don't know this for sure. Yeah. But I would personally believe that if they say, okay, we can't afford Hakimi for whatever they want, they know this. They wouldn't do it if they then can't afford Haaland. That's how I personally see it.
Yeah, I just want to say very quickly, last year we had a lot of assets to sell and we didn't get it done because people didn't want them because of the current, I was going to say it then. I was going to get you cancelled. Because of the pandemic, we couldn't sell people. And if that happens again this year, this fund that we've got for the big man, Erling Haaland, ain't going to be enough, which is the only thing I'd be a little bit worried about. That's the thing, is I want to get that deal done. I get that it's unlikely, but I want to make sure that we give everything we can to get that deal done before potentially shafting ourselves. Because if it gets to a point where we're going, we're going after Haaland, we're going after Haaland, we're going after Haaland, we're going after Haaland, and then it doesn't work, and then we end up signing someone like, I don't know, big number 9. Let's just say Belotti. I don't think he's going to move, but let's just say Belotti is a name. You could pay 70 million quid for him and go, I hope he works out, and he doesn't. It's then just a panic buy. Get your main target done. That's what I would do. And this is the year to get it done, because next year 65 million buyout clause, I think.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Let's hold off a little bit before we get to Haaland, because there's some news to kind of unravel before we kind of make sense of will that happen or not.
Go on.
Because the Hakimi stuff, I in a sense agree with you actually. For me, if we stick to a back 3, and this is not my decision, whether I want this to happen or not, it's kind of irrelevant. If Tuchel chooses for that to be the case, then buying a real good right wing back makes sense. Mm-hmm. Because I think Reece James is a good right wing back, but he's a real good, potentially world-class right back. Not a potentially world-class right wing back, in my opinion.
I agree with that.
Because I think he's too safe to be a right wing back. And he can also potentially be a world-class right centre-back, in my opinion. So having Hakimi and then playing Reece James as a right centre-back or a right back when we play a back 4 makes sense. And the whole space thing, you're right with that. But if anyone in our team has space, it's the right wing, it's the wing backs. So the wing backs always have space anyway. But then when you change to a 4 and you play him as a winger, that's when they're not having space becomes a problem. And that's why I said it in a video already. If we really do choose to stick with a 3 at the back system for pretty much the entire season, with a few exceptions of games, I mean, fair enough. Go for it, because you can certainly make a case that Hakimi is the best right wing back in the world. And why, if you use that position, why wouldn't you try and get that player? Fair enough, in my opinion. But if there is even the smallest bit of chance that we actually change our main formation this season to a 4-back, this is the biggest waste of money I've ever heard of. Yes. Because Hakimi is a good winger, and he's a decent right back, and he can even cover at left back, and he can even play left wing and left mid and left wing back. Yes, but I don't need to pay 60 million plus Marcos Alonso for that. Yeah. I personally, I don't need that. But Con, I actually want to ask you, because initially, when this whole Hakimi saga started, I feel like I saw almost a contradicting tweet of yours saying, why are we willing to spend so much? But since then, I've seen you hype the whole, you want Hakimi up. So now I'm not sure whether I misunderstood that first tweet of yours I saw. So please elaborate what you think about the whole situation, basically.
What tweet was that, bro?
What team?
What tweet was that?
I don't know. Like, just at the start of it, I saw something like, you think it's funny that people want to spend this much on Hakimi, but what happens to Reece James? I don't know.
No. That was a tweet about Declan Rice and what happens to Gilmour and Ampadu. I think that's what you're going on about.
Yeah, and you compare that to Hakimi, what happened to Reece James, didn't you?
No. So I was saying, like, about Livramento, people was on about that. And I was like, you can't compare the two. One's the best. And then people were saying, but you said that about Rice. That's how they're saying I was contradicting myself. I wouldn't want Rice, but I'd want Hakimi. If that makes sense.
Fair play. So, do explain. Actually, just because Jester just said it, the Haaland money is coming out of Roman's pocket directly. That is why he's involved in the deal. That probably is true. You know, the reports out in the are that he's a bit like Shevchenko back in the day. He just wants him, so he wants to get him. End of discussion. So it's going to be less of a club bank account signing than a Roman Abramovich bank account signing. But financial fair play doesn't really care which bank account it comes out of. So you still need to balance your books. But financial fair play has also been, well, I don't know the word, made much more lenient. But it's made much more lenient now with obviously the global situation than in general anyway. So we'll probably be fine to afford whatever we want, realistically, even if we can't sell as many players as we'd like to, I reckon. But sorry, Con, go on.
Craig, I respect your opinions, bro. And anyone who has an opinion like that, I respect it and understand it as well. But first and foremost, I understand why people think like that. I think when people see the Hakimi thing, they think straight away, but what about if we go to a back 4? I think people forget who our manager is. Our manager is, in my opinion, the best player at nurturing players, right? I think cast your mind back to Chilwell. When he first started at left wing back, he didn't look great. And then by the end of the season, he was looking phenomenal. And it would be the same with Hakimi. If he went to a back 4, he wouldn't start off great, but he'd end up looking phenomenal there. Because Tuchel is that.
You're talking a right back then or a right wing then?
No, I'm talking about wherever, bro. Because Hakimi is hella flexible. He's played in midfield for Morocco.
You're right. Even if you're right, then I don't want it.
I am right.
Instead of Reece James, I'm not having it.
Bro, you're talking about a world-class player at 22 here. If you're an elite club, you sign elite players.
No, at right back, he's never going to be better than Reece James, in my opinion.
Okay.
As a right back, I would agree.
As an actual, just a right back, not Laurenz, in terms of full stop player.
How much have you watched Hakimi?
Plenty,
and you don't think he's
less so this season? I will say, but
bro, Hakimi is a world-class player, bro.
And he is, but not world-class right back.
World-class, but bro, he can be nurtured to play left back. He can be nurtured to play left wing back. He can be nurtured to play right wing back, right wing, left wing. That's why I think this signing makes so much sense, because you can bin Alonso and Emerson, and you have Azpilicueta and Asby to cover Chilwell. You have Hakimi to cover the right wing back as well. Right back, he can cover so many areas, bro. And it allows us to get rid of players like Emerson and Alonso. So 64 million might seem steep, but if you think about it, you're getting a player that, like a Cancelo sort of, he can play that left back, he can play that right back. That's what I think of this deal. It's like a Cancelo, what City did. And at the time, people didn't think Cancelo was a good signing for them because they had Walker. But it turned out, look at this season, it was a phenomenal signing. So I get with people saying how much it is they fear it goes into the Haaland thing. that makes sense. Haaland's number one, and he should be prioritized as number one. But I also agree with what you said. I don't think Chelsea entertain this Hakimi links and the price of it if it would jeopardize Haaland, because I think reading back from The Athletic like 6-7 months ago, it says our priority for the summer was a top striker. Haaland was in that name, but it was a top striker. So that's always been the club's priority. So I feel like when a player like Hakimi comes up and available, I think you just got to take it, you know? You just have to take it. And it's clearly important to Tuchel. And I think that's the one thing everyone's forgetting here is if that's Tuchel's main man or one of his top signings, he deserves that, you know? He really does deserve that. Yeah. And just as Jester said there, Traore is the plan B. And Craig mentioned about getting these backups and other players. 40 million for Adama.
That's no way, not touching it. Not touching it.
24 million less than Hakimi. So if you think of it in that sense, and we end up getting an Adama for 24 mil less, you'd be thinking, damn, I wish we'd have paid that extra 24 mil, you know? So I get why people are so, I don't know, they like the player, but they don't like the price. I get that. But I think if you just weigh up all the positives that come with Hakimi, the flexibility, the age, where he can cover his ability already, plus we can ship off like Alonso, Emerson, he can play in the wings, like he is so flexible. We can even play him in midfield like he has for his national side. That's what flexibility we're talking about here. It's not the flexibility of like a Kai Havertz. You know, when people said he could play right wing striker, and we haven't really seen that. We will see that of Hakimi because he's hella flexible. So I think 64 million for a player like that who's only 22 years old. There's no downside.
But you can't just call it 64 million. It's 64 million plus Alonso.
No, bro. They wanted 80 million for Hakimi, and that's 64 million pounds. We never offered 64 million plus Alonso. I think we was offering around 50 plus Alonso.
I think it was 60.
I thought you took pounds. Okay.
Yeah, I think PSG put in a 75.
Yeah, I think it's 69 million pounds is what 80 million euros is. Okay, yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and so
can I? Because I want to say one thing, because I've seen a lot of people say this, that he can be the backup option to every way if necessary, and you can get rid of Alonso and Emerson if you have Hakimi. I firmly disagree with that. I don't understand how that physically be possible.
Because you've got
but Aspie can't play left wing back.
Yeah, so not left wing back.
If you have one injury, you need two to play every game, and that's physically impossible. So you still need one other left back.
But you have Hudson-Odoi, you have Hakimi, you have Ben Chilwell, you'll have Azpilicueta, you'll have Reece James. That's 5 players there.
Again, I'll come back onto the Hudson-Odoi point. Are we 100% certain that he's going to be a Chelsea player for years to come? Because the way that it's being spoken about...
Maybe not for years, but probably next year.
But the way it's being spoken about, if this is what we've got to do, if we've got to move someone on at some point, as much as I do want Callum Hudson-Odoi to succeed, are we going to get 70 million quid's worth out of him, which is what people are saying that he's worth to someone else? It's a question to be asked.
Yeah, I think it's a question to be asked, yeah.
It's a question to be asked. We need a centre forward. We also need a right wing back, I agree. We also probably need a new centre half and a new centre defensive midfielder. We do have problems. We do have holes to fill because Aspie's getting on, Thiago Silva's getting on. That's 2 defenders down. Rudiger could be going next year unless we sort out a new deal for him.
So apparently he said he's staying. So
yeah,
but this is why I get so nervous. Did you hear what Craig said there? Is spot on. And I just go back.
Rudiger will sign a new contract. Let's not even get scared about that. And I don't know this, like, of source-wise. No. But trust me, Rudiger will sign a new contract. He's not going anywhere.
But, bro, this is why I get so nervous, because I remember the Conte, when he won that Premier League, and we had holes to fill.
Yep.
We didn't fill those holes. And then, like, we signed, like, Adama kind of players to fill that. And we still suffer from that, you know. We got Sappacosta, Drinkwater, Bakayoko still on our books. Like, they're still on our books. And Ross Barkley, So they're all still on our books. And that's what I worry about. It's like, I'm optimistic about the Haaland deal. Don't get me wrong, but just I'm scared, bro. Because I know this board. I know everyone kind of sort of forgave them for the Werner and the Havertz kind of thing. But us Chelsea fans, we know this board. Sometimes when we win something, you know, they're not always like a City.
You're scared because you give a shit.
Me,
that's the thing. You give a shit, and there's no guarantee off of what's gone previously that we're going to get this window right.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee of that.
Exactly.
No, obviously there isn't. And there is even a situation where you can't even blame the board, you know? If there comes a price where it's fair enough if we don't say, okay, Dortmund, here's 250 million. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But in theory, if they said we want 250 million, then fair enough if they say no to that. Do you know what I mean? You can't always have everything you want. What's disappointing is when you could easily have had it if you just paid 5 million more and you said no. That's when it's a piss take. But for me, at least, it feels different. And like Melinda said here, I think we learn from those mistakes. Also, winning the Champions League, the board of obviously it has only happened once, so there's less to go by. It was only last time we won the Champions League. We still was signed big in the summer. It's only after we win the league, which is a more of a consistent thing. That's when we don't sign nobody. You know, we signed Hazard after the Champions League. We signed Oscar.
Yeah,
Oscar
Mata, as well.
And Mata was the year before. But
yeah.
So we certainly signed players. Aspie as well, obviously wasn't exactly a huge signing at the time, but, you know, worked out in the end. So the one thing I do... Like,
sorry, no, just to quickly interrupt there. Like,
go
on. Maybe they have learned, but if we're just putting all our eggs in the Haaland basket and we're not really asking about the Lukakus, the Kanes, the other top tier strikers, and like if we haven't got a backup plan from that, then we haven't learned. Like, or maybe we got a bit more. What's the word I'm looking for? We got a little bit more
savvy.
Yeah, but we still haven't learned from, you know, we've got to really plan out these windows, you know. We don't have to panic, like stop reacting to situations, because that's what Chelsea have done. We've always reacted. Like when things like the Courtois situation, we reacted. That's why we got Kepa. It's not like we had planned for that, you know. And like if we don't get Haaland, I'm scared of that Chelsea reacting again, and then we're going to get an Isak. Don't get me wrong, he's had a good Euros, but he's not the player people think. Believe me.
Yeah.
So
I will say this, right? Just quickly, if we don't get the players we want, don't sign anybody. Stop this signing BTEC players. Don't even like the fact that Adama Traore is linked to us is the biggest embarrassment I've heard about Chelsea Football Club in God knows how long. How are we? The guy rubs himself in baby oil. He thinks he's a WWE wrestler. He's just a more muscly, more shit team of earner. I don't understand why this is even entertained.
I saw somebody said they're trying to win footy games, not a Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, honestly, like that's the issue. It pisses me off that. And I saw the Chelsea social stream earlier, and Hijack is telling me how good Traore is. I'm like, bruv, if you watch the guy play, like he dribbles, runs, loses the ball, does nothing. I suppose it's all the Kovacic lovers is all the same, really. But like that pisses me off, honestly. But anyway, to go back to that, I 100% agree with what you said, Con. That the Cancelo thing that makes 100% sense, but we're not City. And I know our big money signings are bigger than theirs, but we don't use the money to sign 50, 65 million players every window for 4 windows straight. We don't do that. That's why they can have a player like Cancelo. If we don't start acting like that from now on, which we might do, but if we don't, then I think we need to be very certain of playing a right wing back role. And I see what you're saying. He can do this, he can do that, and I'm sure he can. But I've had enough of players that can do things. You know, I want players that do things.
If this is Tuchel's main target, bro.
Please let me finish that point, because I think we've done enough of this. We want to challenge Man City. We don't want to do it in 4 years when we've nurtured Hakimi to this great left wing back that you say he can be. And I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying I want to beat City next year, not in 4 years. So I want someone that does it now. And for Hakimi to be significant improvement for us now, we need to play him at right wing back, because there he's possibly the best in the world. And that makes total sense if you put him there. Brilliant. If we do that, and if we can get him, amazing. I'm very, very happy about it. And I also think if we change to a 4-2-2-2 or 4-2-4 and play him as a proper right winger, almost a right mid, that is not less so of cutting inside, scoring goals like a Hazard did on the other side, or like a Pulisic does on the other side. If we do him as 2 strikers in the middle, 1 left winger, 1 right winger, and he plays the right wing role there, I think he can do a very good job there as well. Very good job, because I think that's not too dissimilar from playing the role of a right wing back with 1 striker and a winger ahead of you. I think that's not too different. So I think he can actually do that very well. I just really don't want him as a right back. I just think it's not, number one, a waste of his talents, in my opinion, because I've seen the guy tackle. He doesn't tackle like a defender, right? And also it's a waste of Reece James. Like, in my opinion, if we start doing that, then we might as well have not done the last 2 years except for winning the Champions League. We have 2 outstandingly good players from the youth in the squad right now. 2. Reece James and Mason Mount. The others won't be long-term starters for Chelsea. Let's be honest. Tammy won't. He's leaving. Ruben clearly hasn't made it. Conor Gallagher won't be a starter for us now that we have Mount and Kai Havertz and these types of players. It won't happen, right? But right now we have Reece and Mount. I'm not saying we need to have 7 youth players in the squad, not by any means, but we have those 2 that we know are good enough. And I'm not gonna spend 80 million on a player if he's gonna play right back. That's stupid. Like, then spend that money on Rice or whichever CDM you want, or spend it on a world-class centre back. But if you play right wing back, go all out for Hakimi as much. Well, all out, but within reason. Then do that. But I just don't know what Tuchel is going to do. And I think it was Jay again on that Chelsea social stream earlier saying Chelsea managers have an average lifespan of 16 to 18 months. Is it smart buying a player whose best position is used by few managers?
Yes.
This I don't know.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Completely.
But at the same time, like Con said, if we don't back Tuchel, who the hell do we back? The guy wants the Champions League. Like, we need to back someone like him, right? So if he wants Hakimi, go for Hakimi. But just the last thing to what Con said. I don't personally believe that Hakimi is the big Tuchel number 1. Because the club already tried to sign Hakimi 3 years ago.
Yes.
2 years ago, whenever it was. So this is, like Havertz and Werner, they're club signings. That doesn't mean Tuchel doesn't want him. But it's not like Tuchel has said here, please, Marina, sign me Hakimi. I don't believe that. That does, again, I don't think that means that Tuchel doesn't want him. But I don't think if we sign him, that's because Tuchel wanted him, if that makes sense.
Completely agree. We've looked at him for a while. It's not a Tuchel signing. It could just be a coincidence that Tuchel wants him and the club have wanted him previously. But if you're saying we've wanted him for 3 years, is that what you said, 3 years? Is it 3 years so we've been interested in doing for Hakimi?
2 or 3 years. I can't remember whether it was when he went from Madrid to Dortmund or whether it was after his first or second Dortmund year. At some point, we were certainly linked with him. I can't remember how long exactly it was. So
I still think the club want to go back to when it was under Conte and we looked absolutely brilliant. The last time we won the league, it was 3 at the back and it was all la-di-da, fancy, brilliant football, blah, 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 blah. That would add to why Hakimi is being mentioned. But we haven't played like that for the last few years. Obviously, we've done it in the last 6 months. But, if he's a good player, and Chelsea should have gone and brought him previously. This is the first we're ever hearing of it. And I get that there's been links before. I understand that. But why has it never come out? Because the people that know, the journalists that know, the sources that know, everyone knows. But yet now we're only just talking about it. Last summer, never spoken about. Never a commitment. And we had a lot of money to spend where a lot of clubs in Europe did not. But yet here we are. We're talking about it 12 months later.
Last season, we weren't playing a 3 at the back. So obviously, we weren't linked to it.
If you've liked him for that long, he's still clearly going to be a player you'd be interested in. If he is that dynamic, he can play anywhere. That's the argument. See what I mean? So for me, look, he's a right wing back. I'm not going to take it into account that he can play left wing back or right winger or whatever. I'm signing him as a right wing back because that's his job. You're spending 60 million quid on someone to do their job. We talk about Kai Havertz. I like him. He's a fantastic player. Got a shirt with him, back on the back and whatever. Right? Great player. He's not centre forward. He can play there, but he's an attacking midfielder. That is not what we signed Havertz for, to play up front and play as a number 9. He was not meant to get us the winning goal in the Champions League final. He did, but I'm not going to let that cloud my judgment from 90 minutes of football or a couple of 90 minutes of football where you saw him play up front in comparison to what we actually signed him for. So for me, you're buying Hakimi as a right wing back. And do I think it's wise spending 64, 68 million quid or whatever it is on a right wing back when we have no guarantee that he is even going to play there? No, it makes no sense at all.
But obviously, like I said,
good footballer, but I just don't think he's worth the money at right wing back.
If we do say him, that is a guarantee that he will play right wing back, if that makes sense. Obviously, we don't know this.
He will play there. He's the best right wing back in Europe. He'll play there, 100%.
No, I'm saying
he's the best right wing back in Italy.
In Europe, bro. He comes to the Prem, he lights it up. He's technically there.
Is that gamble worth 68 million quid? I don't think so.
Bro, the reason it's a gamble is because we're not City. When City couldn't get Koulibaly, who did they sign? Ruben Diaz. When Chelsea can't get their top targets, who do we sign? That's the problem I have.
Oh no, completely agree. Completely agree.
That's why I want Hakimi so much, because if it's not Hakimi, it's going to be Adama or someone of that profile. And that's the problem. That's why I'm so passionate about getting Hakimi. Don't get me wrong. I think he's class, but I think this is more about if it's not Hakimi, then who is it more than Hakimi?
But then you would ask, then you'd start to ask the question about why is our scouting network so poor in comparison to City's? Because you look at someone like Ben Chilwell, well, obviously we've gone and got him from Leicester, whoop-de-doo, but they've just sold him on. They've got 40 million quid and got in, what's his name? Timothy Castagna, great player. They've gone and got N'Golo Kante in the last few years. They've got Mahrez in the last few years. Now, of course, those two are a little bit more kind of like freak things. But, I mean, James Justin, the right back, Soyuncu, centre half, their scouting network is clearly good.
Did they sign some more as well?
But they're Leicester. Our fans, including you, wouldn't have the patience for someone like that to work.
I probably would. I think I'm a little bit better than other people, but yeah, I understand
you would be
the point.
Annoyed that we didn't use a youth player instead of signing a talented from somewhere else who's not top class yet.
What do you mean?
And I would agree. Do you know what I mean? If we signed I don't know.
I still think one of Chelsea's best ever signings is Gary Cahill. From Bolton, wasn't really expecting a hell of a lot. Weren't really expecting a hell of a lot. And then look what he did. Yeah. Won the Champions League, won Europa League twice, won the Premier League
I'm saying
twice.
Now, obviously, if we sign Cahill now, you'd be like, why not? Oh, a younger version of Cahill. Like, say, he was 22. Why not then we just keep Tomori?
Oh, yeah.
Like, that is only a case to be made.
I agree. I would have kept Tomori. I understand that. But at some point, you know, if you get these little positives, okay, I'll use the word. You get these little bargains, right? Whether it be Mason Mount coming through the academy, Reece James coming through the academy, no money spent on them whatsoever. They're now, I mean, I think Mason Mount's probably a triple figure worth player. I would probably stand by that. Reece James probably not a million miles off it either, right? Definitely Mason Mount is. So that's a nice little bargain for us. Fantastic. That allows us to go and have a few little punts on various different people. One of those was Havertz. That is fine. All chill with that. I completely understand it. We've got Thiago Silva on a free transfer. Right bargain. It allows us to go and spend a little bit of money on someone else to have a little bit of a punt. Fine. I get that. You have to have a couple of these little bargains in there to then all of a sudden make an incredible team. But you look at Real Madrid in years gone by. That's a classic example. Sergio Ramos, cheap, bargain. Iker Casillas, bargain. All these people coming through. Barcelona, another one. Messi, bargain. Puyol, bargain. Gerard Piqué, bargain. All because they come from the academy. They brought one or two people. Thierry Henry, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Some of them do, some of them don't work, but they're still in great shape because they've got all these people from years gone by. That's what I just want to see. I mean, if you want to go and build a Galacticos team, fine. That don't happen in England. That doesn't happen. And you even look at Manchester City. Foden has been a bargain. Aguero for years has been an absolute bargain for Manchester City. So they can go and spend that money on someone like Gabriel Jesus. Doesn't work out. Doesn't make a difference because they still got a bargain in Sergio Aguero. And it just makes complete sense. And I get that that's the level you want to aspire to. And that's not somewhere that Chelsea are right now. But you've got to start doing something that aids towards that. So having the youngsters in the team with Reece James, who I think is going to be a right centre-back if I were to have to put my money on it, and then obviously Mason Mount is going to be basically play wherever the hell he wants to play. He's that good. Then you can allow to have these certain opportunities. You're allowed to go and spend a little bit of money on Havertz. If it doesn't work out, you're going to get your money back regardless. You're allowed to go and spend a little bit of money on Haaland because you know you're going to get close to your money back regardless. I don't see Hakimi as that kind of player that we're adding to. I think it's just a punt that might not work out, which is not something that we're going to be able to recoup the money for. That's the only worry I have. I think this could possibly be the biggest transfer fee he ever goes for. And even if it's 5 or 10 million less, then fine. Okay, you take it. But if we're looking at signing him right now for 80 million euros and then we go and sign it, or he goes to PSG in 3 years or whatever, and he goes for 60 million euros, then we've just pissed away money.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird that there's three people of us, and I'm kind of sat in the middle of your two's opinions because I'm like, if we keep playing a right wing back and we sign Hakimi, he'll be brilliant for us. I'm just slightly worried that we won't play a three in the back. And if I'm being totally honest with you, if this Hakimi deal link wouldn't have come up, I wouldn't have even considered the fact that I might even want to play it. I don't like three at the back. I don't like it.
I love it. I'm a massive fan of three at the back.
Same.
Have been for years.
It's just not for me. Like, it's just like
fair enough. Fair enough.
Play, play like Italy do. You have a back four. Either one of the fullback stays or the six drops deep. You can still build in a three, but you don't need to waste an attacking player on a bloody centre back. It's pointless. Obviously, if your right wing back is Hakimi, he's so bloody attacking. It's not really wasting an attacker anymore, kind of. But that's what I mean by saying Hakimi is not a right back. But yeah, so if we sign Hakimi as a right wing back, amazing. But then please, Thomas Tuchel, please stick to the three at the back and don't, in October, decide we're going to play four at the back for the rest of the season, because then we could have just saved ourselves the money, in my opinion. But I know, obviously, we have different opinions. At the end of the day, whatever our opinions are, we'll just have to wait and see whether Chelsea sign him, and then we'll see what Chelsea do with him. Whatever our opinions are, it won't change that anyway.
Laurenz, just quickly on the back three, I think the fact that we're interested in Hakimi and Traore is sort of linked, I think that sort of shows that we're probably going to use a back three next season. So that's two players there.
I agree. And in that scenario, I also 100% agree with you. I don't care how much Hakimi costs if it stops us from signing Traore. Because, Ian has mentioned there, what if something goes bad, what if the Hakimi transfer doesn't work out? Yeah, still going to be better than Traore. Do you know what I mean? Like, Traore would just be another Bakayoko or another Drinkwater or, all of that stuff. And Craig will need to head off in just a second. So I will just ask you quickly, because I did kind of cut you off when you tried to talk about Haaland. And just because you said you want us to sign a striker regardless.
Yeah.
I personally disagree with that. I think, again, like I touched on already, stop signing B-Tech options. I've had enough of that. We've done that for too long. If we don't get Lukaku, Kane, in theory, Lewandowski, obviously never going to happen, same with Kane, but Lukaku or Haaland, if we don't get one of them two, do not sign anybody. I know what you're saying. Havertz isn't the striker. No, Siri, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to you. If we're not going to get one of those, yes, Havertz isn't the real striker, but it's still better using him for another season there than wasting money, 40, 50 million on some guy. That's then just going to be another Bakayoko, another Drinkwater, another Zappacosta, another Alonso. Well, maybe not Alonso, but Emerson.
See, I'm not looking for a big name. Like, I'm not looking for a big name, but I'm looking for someone who can do a job, which is why I'd like to keep Tammy around. The only reason I don't want to keep Tammy around is because he's asking for extraordinary wages. That's what I'm hearing, which is the reason I don't want to keep him around. But Giroud is going to go. I mean, that one to AC Milan is pretty much on the cards, whether people want to get it or not. So we have to replace
we'll force him to stay if we don't get a striker, personally.
I don't know. But either way, Tammy looks like he's going to go. I think we're all accepting now that Werner's not a number 9. Mm-hmm. So that's another striker that's gone. And then you've got Tammy, Giroud, and Timo Werner. Well, your three strikers going into the season. Kai Havertz, who is a false 9, not a centre, not a striker.
In the 3-4-2-1, that works. If we play a 4-3-3, you can't play him up front. I 100% agree. But if you play 3-4-2-1, I think you comfortably can.
Yeah, because he gets helped out a little bit. But again, he's a creator. He's not a proper number 9 goal scorer. He has missed multiple chances.
Well, so do all of the strikers we sign, except
Costa. This is what I'm saying, though. There's other attributes to people's games. Kai Havertz is great driving the ball up the pitch. He's brilliant. But, you just got to get someone who can offer something a little bit different, because we've got so many players that do the same thing. Small, quick, fast, agile. You need someone who's going to put themselves about a bit. I hoped it was going to be Tammy. The likelihood is it's going to be Giroud. But let's be honest with ourselves. Giroud and Tammy, I don't think are going to stay around. I've just seen here pop up in the chat, Costa is a free agent. Not going to happen. But if you could get someone like that, again, a cheeky little bargain that works out for you, a gamble that if it doesn't work out, no one cares. That's the kind of player I just think we should add, just maybe one or two. Batshuayi is not a bad shout. I know he's not good, but just someone that just gives it a little bit more. Even if it's an Asian player, even if it's someone from a lower Premier League team, like, I don't know, Chris Wood, just to give you a different option, because we can't continue to play the same way with the same people constantly, because we get too easy to play against and we struggle to break teams down and we're just going round and round in a vicious circle.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I agree, but I've had enough because even if you sign someone stupid like Chris Wood, if he comes to Chelsea, he would be on 80, 90K a week. And then come a year's time, we'll sign a proper striker, and then we have another idiot that we can't get rid of because they're on stupid money. And then we have the same problem all over again. Hence why I don't want to.
That's why I would go for someone with experience. If you could find someone like Cavani, I'd be all over that. There's not many of them about, I get that. But if you could find someone like Cavani, I would be well up for just getting him on board, just to give us a different way of playing. I like it to be Giroud, but I think the likelihood is we all know he's going to go off to AC Milan. But, there's a few people out there. There's a few people out there that we could go and get. Of those kind of aging, might want a last little go at winning the Premier League. That's the kind of thing you got to buy people in for. Like we've done with Thiago Silva. That's been a great deal. 2 years, bish, bash, bosh. Thank you very much.
That is fair. Myself and Con will dissect it a little more, especially the recent report of Real Madrid hijacking the move. But I just wanted to get Ian's thoughts on the whole situation because he needs to head off. Man's going to the pub to watch England. So enjoy that. Obviously, check out Ian's channel, Craigo28 Football. Link is down in the description below. There will, I presume, be a review of the England game over there tonight. So check that out. And Ian, as always, thank you for coming on. I'll talk to you soon, bro.
Dos Vidania, up the Chelsea, come on England.
Cheers, bro.
See ya.
Con, just to direct it back to the Haaland stuff. Before I get into the news that have obviously come out, and even though Justice has told us a few times in the chat that it's kind of only half true, we will touch on that in a second. Just quickly, if we can't get Haaland or Lukaku, do you want to sign anybody or no one?
No, I'm the same as you, mate. If we can't get that elite striker, then I don't want a B-Tech option. I'd rather just trust Kyler.
I agree. No, I 100% agree. Yeah. Just to quickly explain the situation. So news have come out, especially last night, by Alfredo Bedula, who is, of course, a Gazzetta dello Sport journalist in Italy, as far as I'm aware. And then
that accent was crazy, bro.
Ooh, hey, my surname's Italian. I got to do it. And then obviously that same story has been copied by a few outlets in England, and the Express and a few others. Basically saying that Haaland has personal terms 100% nailed and agreed with Real Madrid. Now, Jester said, this has kind of been a case since last year. Obviously, everybody knew that Mino Raiola, his agent, flew all across Spain, first to Barcelona, then to Madrid, and had chats with both of them. So the likelihood of there being a possible personal terms agreement lined up, that might well be true, but it's kind of irrelevant because there is no chance in hell Real Madrid can afford Erling Haaland right now. So that doesn't mean that stops him going to us. Because if the reports are to be believed, and they are very reliable reports, that he would fancy Chelsea, then we can still get this done, whether he has personal terms agreed with Madrid or not, because they cannot pay the money Dortmund want right now. If we can't get it done this year, he's off to Madrid next year. You can be damn certain about that. But if we get it done this year, they can get effed, and we can do a Hazard with them in 5 years. We sell him to them for like 300 million or something stupid. He gets injured for them all the time. We laugh at them and we have a great time with the Champions League. So we can do one of those. So I still think Haaland is very much possible. It's weird. I just have this feeling, and this is not based on any information. I just have this feeling Chelsea seem too confident. Like, if them, and obviously we haven't heard that by Marino or Czech or Rabanovich, but it's in a way different than after our title-winning seasons when we didn't spend. Because after those seasons, you could argue we didn't have huge hole, except obviously the fact that we let Costa go. But obviously we tried Lukaku, then we didn't want to pay Raiola, so we got Morata. That was a bit of a nail. But in general, the squad was good. While right now, even though we won the Champions League is a tournament football. It's different to a league. You can't even compare it. So there are a few obvious holes in our squad. Obviously, first and foremost, the striker. Second of all, in my opinion, the right wing back. Not crazy because Reece does a job, but I think if we want to challenge City and you want to play a right wing back, he needs to be better than Reece James there, in my opinion. I know some Chelsea fans might hate me for saying something about Reece James like this, but Reece James, in my opinion, has every potential to be the best right back in the world, but right back, not right wing back. And also one of the best right centre backs in the world, but obviously how many of them are there, right? So that's a bit different. But I think it just feels like we would have already bought some shitty striker if we didn't try to get Haaland. And I feel like the fact that we got Havertz last year makes me feel that we're going to get Haaland this year. And I know arguably that should tell me we won't because we spent so much money already last year. But the fact that we got this player who the whole world was after, and if it wasn't the global situation last year, someone until then bigger than us, now obviously you have a second Champions League, you can certainly say we're at least level. The fact that we got him last year because no one else could afford him makes me think we're going to get Haaland this year as well, just because no one else can afford him. That's what I personally feel. How do you feel that whole situation, Con?
I would love some of your optimism, man. The Madrid thing, like you said, I don't think that worries me. I think there's probably loads of players that agree deals with other clubs like personal terms before moving to the actual club they go to.
You know that that's actually illegal.
Is it?
Yeah, because it's not allowed by a club on FIFA rules to tap up a player while he's contracted to another club unless has 6 months or less left on his contract. Like in theory, obviously every club does it, and Chelsea do it as well. But in theory, you wouldn't actually be allowed to do that.
I never knew that. Thanks for the information.
But obviously, this is only like official. You know, if you happen to meet in a cafe and you talk about things, obviously that's not exactly illegal now, is it?
So yeah, I think like maybe Haaland was like, yeah, I'll join Real Madrid on these terms, kind of thing, instead of like, oh, I'm going to come to Real Madrid for these terms. You know, I think that's a different thing altogether from saying I would and I will. So I'm not really worried about that. I don't think Madrid have the money for that, and they are creaming over Mbappe there. You know, that's always been a thing for the president. He's always talking about Mbappe. So
the problem, I just feel like Mbappe's a big enough club for that not to be as easy as Madrid imagine it. Dortmund is not big enough for that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's also true. That's also true. The Havertz thing does give me confidence. It does, because that was a really hard deal to get done. Leverkusen at one point said they weren't going to sell. Then we had to pay this much money, and you know we got Kai in the end, and he won us the Champions League. So that gives me confidence. But Laurenz, man, I'm just pessimistic at times, man. Like I can't lie.
And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to tell you different.
So it's just a hard deal to get done, isn't it? It's so much money involved. It could
like
so easily.
I've been saying we're going to get Haaland since like February. So you know, maybe I'm just backing myself. So I hope, like you went on that stream. We did a stream with Dan McCarthy a couple of weeks ago, and out of nowhere he was telling a story, and then he was kind of like, "Oh, I suppose there is a different argument," and then he just says, "No, I back myself." That goes with his first argument again. So that was bad. But yeah, maybe it's one of those. But I don't know. I just have this inside confidence that somehow we're going to get this done. I don't have it for Hakimi, but I do have it for Haaland.
I think you're right about, when you said about we haven't brought anyone yet. Like we haven't even really seen links to any other strikers. Like we saw Lukaku, of course, but we haven't really seen any other links to strikers. So that would tell us that we're not focused on other strikers, you know. So that's a good sign, I guess, if we're trying to look for positives. I really want Haaland, Laurenz, man. He's the final piece of the puzzle. Like we don't need a right wing back, a DM, if we get Haaland. I think we can win the league if we just get Haaland.
If we get Haaland, just don't play and don't get Hakimi. Just don't play three at the back. And that solves our right wing back problem. Like we have a great right back, we have great wingers, but we don't have a great right wing back. So if you can't get the right wing back you want, just don't play one.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's true. So yeah,
it's a tough one.
Out of 10, how confident are you? Be honest.
And would a 10 be a guarantee or would a 10 be I'm just very confident?
No, a 10 would be guaranteed he's on the way to the bridge.
7, 8?
That's high, bro.
Something like that. One of those. Obviously, I could be wrong. Like, and I'm not trying to tell anybody, oh, I'm in the know and I know this is going to happen. It's just my gut feeling. I feel as we're going to pull this off because, you know, big of Marina. So, you know... And like George said, he was pessimistic about, I presume you're talking about Havertz, and, you know, that happened. I do quickly want to touch on a few other strikers that we've been linked with, like Alexander Isak, however he's pronounced, obviously the Swedish player who's played a good Euros, but hasn't scored a goal, so, you know. You know, he's had a few good dribbles and missed a few sitters. You know? This is the funniest thing in the world to me that Chelsea fans hype that guy up now. I'm like, he's a good player, but every means he's a good player. He's quick, he's strong, he's agile, he's got skills, he's got a finish, he's got everything you need. I agree, but yeah, he scored 17 goals this season. Where was that hype when Tammy Abraham scored 15 goals without penalties that season under Frank? Yeah. And that's La Liga. We all know that it's easier to score in La Liga than it is in the Premier League. So if you're going, but Isak scored 17 goals in La Liga, great. Unless you, and some people might do this, but unless, and Bertrand, please stop spamming, please. Unless you watch Real Sociedad at least twice a month, don't come at me saying, but Isak is good because you've watched 2 games of the Euros. Because by that logic, Harry Kane is the worst striker in the world. And he clearly isn't. So just 2 games of the Euros doesn't tell you everything. Same as some people say Rice is awful because he wasn't great against Scotland. Yeah, and what? Like, Ronaldo has had poor games at tournaments. Messi has had poor games at tournaments. Kane has. You know, every bloody player in the world has. Like Xavi, Iniesta, all of these players had poor games at tournaments. Didn't make them bad players. So, yeah. And to be fair, does actually anyone want to go to Real Madrid? Ramos now gone, Zidane gone. Why would you want to go there? Like, now obviously the name of the club, but it's a mess.
You're spot on with the Isak thing, by the way. Like, I didn't see anyone talk about this guy before Euros. And the fact he hasn't even scored and people saying he should come to Chelsea, what's that about? I don't understand that. Like, I would rather sign Calvert-Lewin, if I'm being honest. If I had a choice between Isak and Calvert-Lewin, I'd rather get Calvert-Lewin because at least I know he'll be somewhat useful, you know? Like,
yeah, I know you love Calvert-Lewin.
But, bro,
I think you just want to, like, copy his drip a little, and that's why you rate him. Maybe that's why you like Grealish. You just like the way he looks.
Bro, everybody knows I like the way Grealish looks. It's not a football thing.
Did you hear that story of the Scotland player? I forgot his name. O'Connell, was it maybe? That John McGinn told him, yeah, when Grealish comes on, just like compliment him all the time. It kind of puts him off. So apparently, all through the game, once Grealish has come on, he's told him, "Oh, how do you get your hair to look that good?" And then all of these random things that apparently put him off so much. It's the most hilarious thing.
That's brilliant. Laurenz, if we couldn't get like a marquee striker this summer, right? Let's say United bottle Sancho because that looks a bit on the edge right now. Would you sign a Grealish or a Sancho?
Bro, I keep telling you, I don't want neither. I don't think we need a winger.
Yeah. What about if we sold like Hijack?
Don't get me wrong, I take these players, and if we sign them and still get someone like Haaland, amazing. But I just feel like fill the positions where we actually need someone, rather than just taking players for the sake of it. Like, I know they're great players, I agree with that, but I feel like we're just clattering not bad, but the wrong positions with players while we don't have enough players in some other positions, if that makes sense. I mean, just to say, we are linked with Grealish. And you asked me, would I prefer Sancho or Grealish? Now, I will, as a player, Grealish. As for what Chelsea are more likely to need, Sancho. Because I think we have better left wingers than we have right wingers.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
So for that reason, I prefer Sancho, and he's obviously better on the right than Grealish is.
Yeah, that's true.
That's maybe why I prefer Sancho, but as a player right now, maybe Grealish. But that's also to do with Timo Werner having ruined all my faith in players on the Bundesliga. So I'm like, you can't be the greatest player there. You're shit here, so I don't care.
Laurenz, what's your priorities then? Like for Chelsea, is it striker, DM, centre back? Is that the 3 positions? Depending on formation. If we stay with a 3, we don't need a centre back, in my opinion. But if we change to a back 4, but 2 centre backs, then I think we need a centre back. If that makes sense, Joe. Well, I say need one if we, in my opinion, want to challenge City. Not to come top 4 or have a decent, good season. We're fine with the centre backs we have for that. But I think if we want to challenge City and we want to play a back 4, we probably need a centre back. So my priorities are, well, if we stay back 3, striker, right wing back. Because I think in a back 3, Jorginho and Kante together is a great midfield. Even if we don't get Rice, is brilliant. If we change to back 4, it's striker, DM, centre back in that order.
That's me. But ladies and gentlemen, if you want to, have you heard any other links that, of players that we've been linked with, put it in the chat. Use the super chat function if you want to make sure that we talk about it. Do subscribe, by the way. We had way more viewers than already earlier than we do now, but I forgot to mention it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Smash the like button. We definitely don't have anywhere near enough likes. Let me see how many we have. 83 to be fair. Considering I've never mentioned it, you've done well, guys. 88 even. So get to 100 likes right now. Maybe even 150. Why not? But yeah. Any other things? Any other links you've kind of heard over the last few days and weeks, Con, that you kind of want to touch on?
No, the only things I've seen, bro, is the Hakimi, the Haaland. I saw a link. I can't say where I saw it because I don't want to get in trouble. But I think you know what I mean by that. But there's an interest in Grealish.
I had that as well, yeah. I had that.
That surprised me, I didn't think, as much as I'd want a Grealish, I didn't think it'd be someone who Chelsea showed an interest. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just always... Not put off is the wrong word, but I'm always slightly confused by the word interest. But what on earth does that mean then? We're probably interested in Messi, but it's not gonna, it's probably not gonna happen either. I can't lie to you. I don't know who Dwight McNeil is.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about Dwight McNeil. I don't really know who he is either.
Dwight McNeil. Google him right now. Honestly, I have no idea who he is. Plays for Burnley. 21 years old. Is English. Well, it says nationality British, so that's unhelpful. English professional footballer. Born in Rochdale. Is he a left back? Yeah, because I think Jester said earlier, in place of if we get rid of Emerson and Alonso. So what about AC Milan's desire to sign Ziyech? Well, has it changed since like 10 days ago when I last spoke about this? Probably not, because
there was I saw it yesterday actually. There was a story that they'd want to get Ziyech on a loan with an option to buy. I think.
Yeah, but I feel like I made a video about this.
Yeah.
Or was it a street? No, I think a video like about a week or 10 days ago, literally with that topic. So I'm a bit confused why people are talking about it now as a topic. I'm like, what's new? I feel like I talk about exactly that. So, hey, fair enough. I think Ziyech is one of those. Would I want to give him a second season? Yes. But if we get a good offer, probably take it. But along with an option to buy, F off. Buy him or don't.
No, I agree.
And Roma as well. Get me someone with money. You know what I mean? Like, like they spend all their money on Mourinho. They can't buy any players now.
Laurenz, what would be your thoughts if we couldn't get Hakimi and we went to sign like a Max Aarons? So I think he'd be a good right wing back. It'd be cheap.
I don't know what it costs really, but for me, I feel like if we're not going to sign a right wing back, surely we have to change the back four. I just don't see how we don't, or at least change it regularly, and so regularly that we don't desperately need to sign a right wing back, so that we're fine with Reece and Callum and in the odd game Aspie, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
like I take Max Aarons, he's a good player. Obviously, I would have loved Tarek Lamptey would be a great backup right wing back. Right wing back.
Yeah.
Sadly, that wasn't to be. Would I also hate if in the cup games we start giving Livramento a run out at right wing back? No, I don't mind that. Don't make him the proper backup right wing back yet, in my opinion. But if you're not going to loan him out yet because he's a bit young and still part of the academy, play him against a Barnsley like we had last season, or those types, like a Luton, like those types of teams. Then play Livramento. Why not? Go on. Dumfries, sure, great player. Underrated player, in my opinion. Yeah. Underrated player. Can't head the ball to save his life. I mean, the guy, he's already on 2 goals, should be on 7.
Laurenz, there was a news story that came out, I just remembered, about that we would maybe be interested in Locatelli.
Yeah.
For 40 million.
He's another one that, sadly, I feel like that's always what tournaments do. It's like when all of a sudden Real Madrid signed James Rodriguez, and then they realize, hey, he's good, but he's not that good. It's kind of one of those. I'm like, just because someone has a good Euros doesn't mean he's not the best player in the world. But obviously, there has been interest outside of of big clubs even before the Euros in him. Juventus are apparently after him. So good player, but I don't know. Do we need him? Do we need another 8? Is that what we need? Which really
he's more of a box to box, isn't he? Than a holder.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I don't really know. This Julian Weigel did this comment, and I just has brought this up in streams many times over the last few months. I don't understand where this has come from. The guy isn't even good enough for Dortmund, and went to Benfica. Why is he even considered anything for Chelsea football club? I cannot comprehend this at all. Like, he was at Dortmund, wasn't good enough. I think something to do with his injuries as well at times, and did play on the tour, but then wasn't good enough anymore and left. So I don't really understand. Appreciate that. It's been a minute, but I appreciate that. Hans, I didn't know that was his first name, but Hattebor. But he's apparently, well, seemingly the right wing back up to Dumfries. So shouldn't we then just sign Dumfries? Because Dumfries, yeah. We did speak about Isak already. Isak, which is interesting that you call the same. And you have, I think, a Swedish club logo. Maybe it's just a dodgy England flag. I don't know. I don't really know. The one last player I want to mention who there's been minor reports. Obviously, we've learned that Sergio Ramos is leaving Real Madrid. Would you want Ramos?
I'd want Ramos, but my reasoning here is not because I think he's still as good as he once was. It's because the other name that I always see Chelsea linked to at centre-back is Sula.
Oh, get rid of that, yeah.
Yeah, and if it's a Ramos for free or a Sula for 30 million, I'm taking Ramos all day, every day, you know?
Yeah, I agree. They're always somewhat depending on his wages, but considering Thiago Silva took a massive wage cut to join us, maybe Sergio Ramos does the same. Would I get Ramos? Yes, I would. But do we need him? No. But would it be a case of, Ramos plays half the games all season, Thiago Silva plays the other half? We have a good leader there, no matter what. So, it sounds like a good shout to me. If you think about it then. And the shed end, no, Hudson-Odoi is not a right wing back, 100% agree. But he's
have you
also
seen
not
his
getting
metrics,
the team
though,
of
bro?
Excuse me?
His metrics are up there with Hakimi's for right wing back. I know the sample size is a lot different because it's so small, isn't it, for Hudson-Odoi? But his metrics are really good at right wing back. So I'm surprised that maybe
I'm sure they are, but I think that, like you said, small sample size, but he hasn't played right wing back against a good team.
But that's the issue, isn't it? Because against good teams, we're actually good. It's the low blocks that
That's
really
true.
hurt us.
It's a fair
And
point.
sometimes we spoke about this as well, like before, like streams, like maybe start a show because Reece James doesn't offer enough there, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. It's fair. I think he can do certainly a job at right wing back. I think he would be a better left winger. But do I think he's as good as Pulisic? No. So that means he doesn't start there unless Pulisic is injured. But there's a good chance Pulisic is injured, so But also in the current system, Mount plays that role. Do I play Hudson-Odoi over Mount? Absolutely not. So yeah, right wing back, backup right wing back. Do that for me. I don't know. It's a tough one to call. Obviously, with Ramos, you also have to consider the injuries. The guy played 11 games this season. There's not anywhere near enough.
Oh,
Did you see the
Laurenz.
stat? Did you see the stat yesterday? Until yesterday, the Belgian game, Eden Hazard hadn't played a full 90 minutes in 19 months. That's ridiculous.
I saw that. And do you know what? I think Eden actually had a decent game yesterday. He should have scored.
I was focusing more on the other game because, I don't know, what's more fun.
But I think he kind of looked a little bit of his old self. He could have scored a few
He
goals.
already did when he came on against Denmark, I thought. He looked good.
No, he did.
Fair play to him. But like you said, he broke his ankle 3 times. Maybe that ankle is... And I think it's the right ankle as well, not even the left one. So, big issue. Melinda brought it up, and why not make that the last topic? Because, in an hour and 15 minutes England kickoff, so, we need to do shit. Keeper. It's a fair question to put out there, Con, because I'm sure Chelsea would like to sell Kepa, or at least loan him out, because he's just on big wages. And even if we loan him out and whoever we loan him to doesn't pay all of the wages, at least half of the wages would be off the wage bill, and that would already be a start. But what about keepers? Keepers is a tough one for me. Jester there mentioned Areola from Fulham. Of course, they got relegated, and Areola is a good goalkeeper. Interestingly, Christophe Lolichon, obviously the former goalkeeping coach and now head of the goalkeeping department at Chelsea Football Club, the guy that suggested Edouard Mendy to Petr Cech when Petr Cech was still playing at Arsenal. When we signed Kepa, he wanted Areola. So, but obviously that's a few years ago, and Areola's development has certainly been hampered drastically by basically not playing for 3 years and then going to Fulham. So, that's obviously an L. Would I take Areola as a backup? 100%. I think he's a very good goalkeeper. Would he accept being our backup? Probably not. So let me just see what Foden is not in the squad. Interesting. But Grealish starts, so you'll be happy.
Hey.
There you go. And Saka starts as well, which is a bit of an L, but oh well. What does hijack mean? I should have used a different word. Steal him away from us. That's what that means, because reports have come out that they have personal terms agreed and everyone's losing their head. It's not true. It's fine. We can still get Haaland. And Real Madrid just can't. They might have personal terms agreed, but they just can't afford to buy him from Dortmund. So, they can have all the terms agreed they want. It doesn't really matter. And someone asked earlier, again, just to explain it, why I said Mount will, Euros over for Mason Mount is because he misses tonight's game because he has to self-isolate. Same with Ben Chilwell. He comes out of isolation the day before their round of 16 game, assuming they win. If they don't win tonight, he will even be still in self-isolation when they play their round of 16 game. And then he's, not training for a week with the squad. Does he get straight back into the team? Probably not. And then they play one of France, Germany, or Portugal. There's a chance England don't win that. And then if they don't make it to the quarterfinal, the Euros are over for Mason Mount and Ben Chilwell. So, cheeky title. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen. Con, keeper, Areola, any other shouts you have? Obviously, people speaking about Sam Johnston, maybe from West Brom, is it? And there's a couple of others. Keeper, shout you?
No, yeah, I think we do need one. I think we've seen them reports from Roma, innit, about they want Kepa on loan because Sarri makes sense. I'd love Loftus to go there too, to be honest. So Areola is a good shout. I think it'd be cheap, but it's like you said, it's whether he'd want to be a number 2. Maybe being at the European Champions.
Is Strakosha going elsewhere? Because Lazio already have a good goalie.
No, I said Roma.
Yeah, but Mourinho is there.
Yeah, sorry, I'm losing my head here. Yeah, no, sorry, Lazio, yeah. Apparently they wanted Kepa.
That's interesting. Because I heard the Ruben rumours, obviously with Sarri, but Lazio in my books have a good goalkeeper. I'm not sure if he's that good with his feet, but he's a good goalkeeper.
No, sorry. No, it is Roma who won him. Yeah, sorry, my bad.
But just not Sarri, okay.
Yeah. But so Roma wanted Kepa on loan and pay half his wage. That's what I heard.
I mean, maybe negotiate with them and see if they can pay 3/4 of the wages and then, chop the hands off.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'd say. But in terms of signing anyone, is Areola a shout for you or anybody else you've got in mind?
Yeah, I think it's a great shout because Mendy in it, AFCON in it, so it's going to be an issue. 100%. So yeah, you don't want a decent keeper in it, and we don't want Kepa for a month, man. We don't want that.
No.
Yeah, Areola would be good, but like you said, Laurenz, it'd be whether he wants to be a number 2, and I don't know if he does.
Exactly. I mean, maybe if he knows he gets a guaranteed month, and if he plays really well, maybe he stays in the side. Maybe that's enough to convince him. Who knows? But we also need to consider a third goalkeeper here, because if we already lost Willy Caballero. So his contract wasn't extended. So if we, if we get rid of Kepa, we need 2 goalkeepers, arguably, unless we make Jamie Cummings like the third goalie or something. Or what's his name? Tiga. But yeah, I think, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to leave it here. It's been a lovely stream, lovely being back to streaming. Obviously, didn't quite expect this to go an hour and 45 minutes, but here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, Sergio Romero on F3 has kind of not played enough for me recently to even be a backup option personally, even though I think he's a good goalkeeper. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to leave it here. Again, shout out to OneFootball for sponsoring the video. Download the OneFootball app with the link down in the description below. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're on the road to 15,000 subscribers, so get subscribed. That'd be absolutely brilliant and massively appreciated. Smash that like button. Let me see how many we have. You've done well. You've hit 100, but let's get to 125. Come on, guys. Go down below, smash the like button. I'd always massively appreciate it. Is the title true? Kind of, but kind of not. You have to watch this back to find out. Cheers, mate. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea, upwards and onwards. Con, thank you for coming. As always, check him out on Twitter. Help him get to 100,000 followers. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea. And I'll see you next time.